Both of them are not breathing. They look like they're dead, but you notice maybe a little bit of chest rise. And you also notice a little white bag of white powder between the two of them. This is a moment where you have to decide, do we help people? And if so, how can we best help these people to survive? My name is Carlos Silva, and this is my reality at least 7 days a week, working on an ambulance as a paramedic within the inner city in Connecticut. And thankfully, I am also a John Maxwell certified coach and speaker. And today I would like to speak to you about communication. In particular, what I would like to differentiate for you so that you can put into any scenario in your life, whether it be talking with family, whether it be in your job with another fellow coworker, if you're some type of supervisor or manager and you are leading people, if you're a teacher and you need to get the best out of your students, or even if you were just in a relationship and you want to be able to interact with your significant other. The thought that we have today is the difference between communication and actually connecting with people. So the first question we have to ask is, why is it important to be able to connect with people versus just communicating? Well, before we can answer that question, it's very important to understand one crucial element. And that element is that the ability to connect with others begins with understanding the value of people. Now, let me repeat that again. The ability to connect with others begins with understanding the value of people. Now, surely those of you who are watching this can think of a coworker or somebody that you've run into, even if it was just at say a music venue or even a restaurant, where the only thing that these folks really cared about was themselves. They seem self-centered, they seem absorbed in only what is important to them. The problem that we have with this is if you try to communicate with somebody, what exactly is communication? It's an exchange of words. We can exchange words and it doesn't matter because we can get our thought out to the other person and we can get those words that we want to say to the other person. The real trick and where we actually become effective and hopefully efficient in our effect of what we are trying to say to the other person is in connecting with that person. When you actually communicate with somebody, there are three things that any person is going to ask you, be it a student, be it your children, be it coworkers, be it subordinates that you are in charge of if you're a manager or a boss or anything like that. And the three questions that anybody is going to ask as soon as you address them is, one, do you care for me? These people want to know, are you in it just for yourself, or is there an element that I actually empathize, sympathize with the person who's about to be addressed? The second question is, can you help me? People really do things based on what it is that they need. Think about children. When they come up to you, the only thing that they're really looking for is, I want this. Can this person get it to me? And of course, the greatest example of this is if a child asks mom, can I go do this? Can I hang out with my best friend? And mom says no. What's the first thing that they do? They're going to run to the other adult, whether it be another mom, whether it be a dad. And what's always going to happen? Well, especially with dads, go ask your mother. Well, she said to ask you. And now they try to play it off each other, right? So, can you help me? I want something. And you addressing me, is that going to actually give me what it is I'm looking for? And the biggest of these three questions that they have to ask, and you always have to keep in the back of your mind is, can I trust you? Think about your own particular situation. I'm sure that everybody has had a job at some time in their life where they either worked as a teenager in high school or, even now. When you see a supervisor who talks to you and they come up to you, or even another coworker, do you ever have in the back of your head, oh, great, what does this guy want now? He only asks me for something when he needs something. And then we also have those people that we look up to and we actually want to help. I myself, I know I have one particular supervisor when I work at the ambulance company that if he opens his mouth and he says, hey, listen, I need a favor, I am actually 100% engaged listening to what he needs, because I know not only is he going to watch out for me, not only is he going to help me to get out on time, and if I have to get out on, a little bit late, that he's going to make it so that it's not as annoying or painful. And lastly, I know I can trust him because he's always there looking out for my interest as well as for the company's interest. Another great example of this, I'm sure everybody at some point in some time has gone to actually buy a car or negotiate looking for a car. Think about the average car salesperson. What is it that we automatically think when someone walks up to us? Why, hello, are you looking for a car? How can I help you? And the first thing that we're thinking is what? Oh, dear God, this guy's going to try to sell me the most expensive, the most ridiculous, and the most impractical vehicle. I know what I want. I know what I need. I'm going to set him straight. And somehow we get lucky every once in a while finding somebody that those three things actually fall in line. So continuing with those three thoughts, especially with the thought of, can I trust you? You need something from me, but can I trust you to do the right thing? We also have to remember that whenever people take action for anything, they agree to do something or they're going to do it on their own, they do it for their reasons, not for mine and not for yours. Again, whenever somebody takes action, they do it for their reasons. They don't do it for anybody else's. And it's very important because, again, if it's something that they want to do, this is the right thing, I'm going to help somebody. Or, I'm really kind of contributing to the team, sure, I'll help out. But if in the back of their head, all they're thinking is, forget it, I just want to go home. I've been here too long. Everybody's been annoying me today. I'm just going home. Doesn't matter what you beg and plead, you'll always get what they want, unless you can connect and you can get your thought across to them so that way you can exchange ideas. So this just begs the question, why do we bother connecting with other people? Why don't we just communicate? Let me throw words at you, you throw words at me, and then we'll decide whether or not it's going to happen. Well, the first reason is basically we want to succeed at whatever it is that we want to do. If you need to elicit the help of somebody, or you need to direct a team into doing something, think about all those great group projects that you used to do in middle school or high school. There was always what? The majority of people that just sat there, they were doodling, or nowadays they're playing on their cell phone. And there's always one or two people who really did all the work. Well, at the end of the day, you need to get it done. We want to succeed, and we want to try to do it as efficiently as possible with the maximum effect. This is one of the biggest reasons why we need to connect. If we can get our ideas across, and a few other things that we'll talk about, your success rate astronomically goes through the roof. The second reason that most people don't even think of, and it's something that most people don't even consider, which I consider to be the most important aspect of why we want to connect with others, is because when we connect with others, we position ourselves to make the most of our skills and our talents. Now think about all the things that you have done. For a lot of folks, they go on to college, they go on to trade schools, they go on to secondary schools. Maybe people are going for their master's or their doctorate, or even just an apprenticeship where they've put in years to be able to perfect their craft. Why is it important? Well, when we connect with others, we are actually passing along a piece of us that shows our skills and our talents. Think about Oprah. Now, you guys are probably going, what do you mean about Oprah? Well, as we all know, Oprah is kind of this great authority that, hey, what would Oprah do if I needed to find a doctor, or I want to lose weight, or I'm having this problem with my kids? So, millions upon millions of people used to watch her talk show, and they used to take her advice very seriously. Now, part of that reason is what? She used to bring experts onto her show. If you think about Dr. Oz, if you think about Dr. Phil. Now, regardless of whatever your feelings may be on this is important because Oprah didn't give her opinion about, well, you're having trouble with your kids. This is what I would say you do. She brought a psychologist, psychiatrist, Dr. Phil, who is an expert who has spent years upon years in studying and actually practicing their craft. Let's take Dr. Oz as the example. Most people, now they know, of course, but back then they didn't realize. Cardiothoracic surgeon, instructor at a major university for medical things, and people know him as, oh, that's the doctor that was on Oprah. What is the point behind this? Well, Oprah leveraged their skills and their talents to be able to bring it to her general audience so that way they could make an informed decision. And as a result, we borrowed the credibility of these experts so that way we can continue forward in getting what we wanted across. Simple example, hey, I wanted to lose weight. Dr. Oz recommends this. Well, if Oprah trusts him, why not? So the next question that we have to ask is, okay, I can see that there's a relative importance between communicating, just sending words out, and actually connecting, where the words actually are processed by the other person. Well, how are we able to actually connect with someone versus just speaking at them? Well, before we can answer that question, we need to understand a couple of things. The first thing is that there are 3 parts of communication that you need to have in order to be able to just get words out. The first one are the actual words that we are using. And think about it. Depending on how somebody speaks at you, the words that they use are going to do one of 2 things. They're going to engage you, or they're going to distract you and turn you off. Let me give you an example. If you've ever had to talk to a doctor, there are different types. The big thing that you want is you want a doctor that's going to explain to you what is happening. They can give you all the medical terminology in the world, and unless you have medical training and years of involving yourself with these words, it's no good. I mentioned before, Dr. Oz was a cardiothoracic surgeon. Do you know what that means? Do you have to look up the words? There's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, if they're speaking to you like that with big terms and you have no idea, the brain shuts off and it just becomes, okay, they're talking to me. Okay, I'll just nod. I don't want to look stupid. Right. Thank you, doctor. Excellent. Good. And as soon as they leave, what do? Do you understand anything that they just said? I have no idea. Well, let's go ask this person who's a nurse, or, hey, my buddy's an EMT. Maybe they understand a little bit of this and we'll figure it out. Second part of communication is the tone of voice. Depending on how somebody speaks to us, we understand it's either going to engage us or, again, it's going to turn us off. And think about it. If someone, let's take the greatest example in the world, when mom is angry. You can tell if she uses your first name and your middle name, oh boy, we're in trouble, right? So take that a step further with, how is it that she is calling you? Carlos. Oh, mom wants something and she's being really sweet. I wonder what she needs. Or, oh boy, what does mom want now? Versus, Carlos Antone, get over here. Uh-oh, now what I do? Do I run out the door? Do I hide? Did I break something? And I know I did. So again, the tone of voice. And you have to think about this when you speak with other folks, because depending on how you speak, if you speak down to them, they're just automatically going to feel maybe insulted, like, why is this person thinking that they're better than me? I get how to do this. Why don't you just talk to me? Or, hey, listen, I really need a big favor. Okay, well, you've got my attention. You're being sincere, and it sounds like you're in a jam. Maybe I can help. What is it that you need? And lastly, the third part of communication is body language. If you watch everything that I'm doing today, you'll notice that I do talk with my hands a bit, but I always try to keep what's called an open posture. How many times have you gone up to somebody, or you know somebody that all they do is the only time they need to contact you is when they need something? So what do? They come over to you. Hey, just the person I was looking for. Yeah. What do you need? What do you want this time? Notice how this body posture closes your body off. I am not open to listening to what you have to say. I am not really considering anything that you were going to say right now. And quite honestly, you're wasting your time. But hey, it's your time, not mine, that you're wasting. Versus hands in the pockets. Maybe it sends a signal of, you know what, I really don't care. Maybe it sends a signal of, hey, I'm kind of relaxed. Sure, man, what do you need? Open. Hey, listen, what can I do for you? I want to be actively engaged with you. Talk to me. Let's exchange ideas. Now, those are the three parts of communication. There are also three essentials to communication. Notice how complicated. It's not just I'm going to throw words at you, because everything that we do really affects the way that the words get across to the other person that's hearing them. So the first one, the first essential is thought. It all has to do with something that we know. And again, think about the Dr. Oz and Oprah thing. Dr. Oz is a medical expert. They don't really bring him out as, hey, he's this great cardiothoracic guy, which means that he really focuses on the cardiovascular system and on the heart, which is in the thoracic cavity, which is in the chest. They just bring him across as, hey, this guy is a teacher at a major university and he's a surgeon. You should probably listen to him because he knows more about medicine than any of us do. Hey, it's something that he knows. The second essential is emotion. We need to understand that there is something that we feel. Let's take that example before where I said, hey man, listen, I really need to ask you something. Okay, there is an emotion here. This person is in a jam. What can we do to help if we're interested in helping at all? Or you can think of any other type of emotion or feeling that's in there, right? Apply this to yourself. Think about different times that people have come up to you. They're in a jam, but they don't really know you, or maybe they have a chip on their shoulder that maybe they're jealous of something that you've done. So what do you end up getting? Hey man, I need this. You're like, okay, they're invested in it, but they're not talking to me and really selling me on it. So you know what? That's their emotion. Not my monkeys, not my zoo, right? And lastly, the third essential is action, something that we do. Think about electricians, think about anybody in the trades, a plumber, even myself, a paramedic. I can't tell you the number of times that I've had neighbors come over, bang on my door going, oh my God, the dog started pulling grandma, grandma fell, she skinned her knee and everything, so can you help? Well, sure, it's something that I do. I work on the ambulance. I take care of people in emergencies. Or, hey, you know, my best friend is a plumber. I'm having a problem with my dishwasher. Let me give them a call and see what they think. Now, of course, this can backfire because if you're always trying to get them to do stuff for you, and we all know this, right? Man, maybe I got to give them something, show appreciation, or just not ask them as much, right? So let's now talk about the important part. We've already talked about communication, which is getting the words out, but what about the connection? The number one thing that we all need to make sure that we do, and it doesn't matter if we're asking something that is life or death, if we're leading somebody into a critical element of our work for a project we need to do, or even if it's just, listen, I want to ask you out. The important thing for connection is that you need to be more than just a messenger. You must be the message that you want to deliver. Again, let me repeat that. You need to be more than just a messenger. You must be the message that you want to deliver. When it comes to dating, people will always say the exact same thing. If you don't have confidence in yourself and you don't express that, hey, listen, I think that we would be really good together. Why don't we try going out? Automatically, you kind of turn the other person off because maybe they're just like, yeah, you know what? They had a little more confidence. Maybe if not, I got to drag everything out of them. Not 100% of the time, right? But it is something that happens. More importantly, though, and this is what you're expecting, of course, because all of this is, theory until you can put it into practice and make it work for you in whatever scenario that you're in. How is it that we're able to be that message? Well, the first thing is you have to make it your vision. And this is not easy. Think about you are just a person that works for a company. Well, your boss needs you to do something, but you're not 100% on board with it. It's going to be a hard sell for you to get your people to kind of join you in on this and actually bring about a result that is going to be absolutely stellar and is just going to knock it out of the park. Whereas you get the idea from your boss or whoever it is that passes on to you, and you run with it. You really totally believe it, 100%. Take teachers, for example. The curriculum says you need to teach this. Well, I'm 100% on board that if they don't learn multiplication, they're not going to be able to carry it forward into using more advanced mathematics. All right, I need to get these kids to understand this is important. All right, gang, here's what we need to do. And this can be carried over into any field regardless. So think about that. Be the message that you want to pass along and make it your vision, even if it's not. Because if you don't believe in it, I promise you, nobody else will either. And if you don't believe that, let me give you a great John Maxwell quote. Nothing can happen through you until it happens to you. Hear that again. Nothing can happen through you until it happens to you. If you don't believe it, nobody else will. Another interesting statistic that you need to understand is that there's a great book. It's How to Talk So People Listen by Sonia Hamlin. And the quote that she came up with, it's an actual study, is that people remember 85 to 90% of what we see, but less than 15% of what we hear. So again, John Maxwell has a book called Everybody Communicates, Few Connect. The idea behind this is, think about little kids when they're growing up. If they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing, what happens? Well, I was watching mom, I was watching dad, I was watching uncle, whatever. They see it and they try it. Same thing, I used to be a public school teacher. I used to have my kids, hey, listen, here's the theory behind it. Let's talk a little bit. Now let's get it in your hands and let's get it so that it becomes practical so that your muscle memory remembers it. 85 to 90% of that is just from watching somebody and seeing what happens. And if you don't believe me, try to think about anybody that you've worked with or somebody that you really kind of admire. You don't really remember a lot of what they say. I can't quote everything, but you can remember the things that they've done and maybe something that you like so much, you took it and you made it into something that is your own personal. So make sure that whatever it is, you want to be the message, you have to be the message so that way it can work to you, so it comes through you, and people will see it, and the example will be stellar. Wrapping up, how do we know when we've actually connected with somebody versus just speaking to them? Well, I have 6 little things that I want you to take away, and I want you to think about this every time you talk to somebody. Number 1, did I impart value? Did I give value? This talk today, I spent days upon putting things together, doing research, trying to make sure I didn't overload you with worthless parts that it's great theory, and I can make this talk last for an hour at least. But what do you need in 20 minutes so that way you can take this home and you can be successful in whatever you want to do, whatever you need to do? I want you to have value. I want you to feel like you're getting something out of this. Application. Have we given you a game plan so that way you can be successful in carrying something out? Now, this doesn't mean micromanaging. What it simply means is, hey, I'm going to break this up. Here's an idea. Let's talk a little bit. What are you thinking? What's the best way to go about doing this? And then you work a game plan out with the person that you're working with, or even yourself. Sometimes, you've heard the old adage, I talk to myself because I need an expert opinion sometimes. There it is. Relevance. Do we understand and can we relate to the audience that we are talking to? I know that everybody here is watching this because they want to be in a better place. They want to move ahead. They want to be successful, and they're going to do everything they possibly can to get out from just, hey, you're just average. No, listen, if it was good for them, it's good for you. We deserve better, and you deserve better. And that's why we're here, to help give you the tools to make you a success. You're already successful from being here to listen to this. But let me tell you, you can take it to the top. Expectation. Did I actually please my audience? I know some of my jokes are corny, but I tried to be open. I tried to smile. I tried to make sure that you got the best of me during this presentation. Integrity. Did I do my best? Like I said, I've put in days of preparation for this. I tried to make sure that I streamlined this so that way you had tools to take with you. I gave you 101% of my ability and my information. And lastly, change. Did I make a difference? Did I help to make a difference in your life by hearing this information? Some of it might just be interesting, that's fine. But did I make a difference just in the simple thought of, hey, have I just been communicating to people and maybe that's why I'm not as effective? Or did we give you a little extra something, realizing, hey, maybe I've just been talking at people instead of talking with people? Be the difference and be the change that you always hope somebody would be for you. Be the model and bring it right back. In closing, that scenario, both people had overdosed. My team was the fire department. I also had an EMT partner with me. I got 2 people. I can't run around starting IVs on both people simultaneously. I'm just not that talented to be able to do that, especially with the distance. So it's simple. We all had a common goal. These people can die if we don't help them. Okay, I've got this person. You guys come over here. I need one person to start breathing for them. One person breathing here. I need this kit from my partner. I'm going to do this. You guys grab the nasal atomizer because it's another way to give the medication. And you know what ended up happening? Not only did they both live, but they're both around today. And thank God, from quick thinking and actually seeing the other person that they loved in danger, they were able to change their ways and make a better day for themselves. Thank you so much for joining me on my talk today, the difference between communication and connecting. If you ever need anything, we are here for your success. Thank you for joining me today.
Scientists believe that they are disproving God's existence with their discoveries, but in reality, they are verifying the Word of God itself. That unique DNA that we